of an early one today because obviously I'm working tomorrow and I've got stuff on in the evening, so I sort of have to do a stream around now, but still obviously I want to do one. So don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can click like on the stream because that seems to help them get shared. You can subscribe obviously. If you want to financially support me, there's a Patreon below, there's a Teespring, and there's also Super Chats. Any of those, you know, go towards buying masks and whatever else. I've also got some masks out for this video that I've put on the bed behind me, so if people ask me to put on certain masks, I can go and put them on. So alright. Cool, you're in for a little bit mechanised and weaponised. Cool, I've got a coffee in here. I just literally went to make that before starting the stream, so yeah, I've got a coffee. But yeah, I woke up a bit too late today, and the rain's been awful again today. It was like really, really heavy, so we've had over a week now of non-stop rain, pretty much. We've actually had damage to roads near where I am, because they've actually had sinkholes appear on some of the roads where the soil next to the concrete and the tarmac's got so damp that it's just literally collapsed and the roads have sunk into it. I quite like a lot of the old Yugoslavian stuff, it's fairly well made. The shims I've not got down for this video, but I'll tell you what I will put on to start with. I won't put the filter on of this mask for obvious reasons. I'll just use my slightly safer but still not probably safe Czechoslovakian filter. I'll put the Hungarian mask on that doesn't fit me very well. But let's just open this MOF filter, I think they're called. There's a bright green bit on the thread. Yeah, because I've got stuff on this evening, so I could either stream at this time of day or I can't stream at all today. So yeah, this is one of the masks where I'm not a massive fan of it, but I think it looks really cool. It's a Hungarian 76M or M76, and it's kind of a bit like the old German GM30 style masks, where it's inside it's kind of this suede rubber stuff, outside it's you know, kind of like a stockinette kind of cover, fabric cover, whatever you want to call it. Very retro looking. These are very cool if you want to get a mask that looks retro, but they're not very practical in terms of making a good face seal, but I'll put this one on. So, put this bit around my neck first. We get it on and then we do the neck strap up, don't we? Thank you very much, Laserpoint. I appreciate that. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, as he says, because it does seem to help them get shared. So let's work out. Well, this mask, this particular mask was like £20 or something like that. Oh, I've got a bit of dust in my eye, hang on. I said this isn't a great design for not getting your face dusty. Let's see if I can work out where that other little clasp is. I used to play a bit of chess. I haven't played chess in years though. Oh, sophistry. How do I get this clasp over? It's a bit awkward. There we go. So that's the mask on. As I said, it doesn't make a very good face seal for me. Even though I've got this in the largest size they did of them, it's still really small. It's not very comfortable, but it is a cool looking mask because of how retro it looks. Digs into your throat a bit as well, this mask. Because it's got a little bit your chin's meant to sit on, but your chin always slips off a bit. There we go. So I'll take this off now. But yeah. When people ask me what's my least favourite mask, in terms of practicality this is one of them, but I do think it looks cool, so it's kind of a weird contradiction. But yeah, you can buy these for not very much money if you want a retro looking mask, at least if you're not very interested in wearing one. Favourite sport? Probably stuff like archery, I'd say. Because, you know, I can actually shoot a bow, not very well, but stuff like archery and stuff like that is technically a sport, isn't it? And shooting sports, but because I'm in the UK it's harder to get into those. But like target shooting kind of things I enjoy. Yeah, I've got a German M65 on the shelf, I've got a GM30 there where you can't see it hanging on the wall, I've got two Volks masks or Volks masks The 37 and the 40 in a different room. I've also got a German M62, which is like an earlier version of the M65, but that's in damage condition. Mr. J in total, probably over 100. So now let's go to a similar looking sort of mask in terms of design, but one that's a lot more comfortable and practical. The Czech CM3, or Czechoslovakian CM3. And the thing I love about this is the bake light there, because it's got that lovely brown bake light on it. So yeah, this is one of those really good budget masks you can get. It is in Ghost, but there we go, that's that one on. Much better face feel on this one than the Hungarian one. But yeah, this is a very good mask if you can still get these for around £5. No voice diaphragm really on it. Yeah, I've done camping before, not like stealth camping or anything like that. I'll take this mask off so people can hear me a bit better if I can find the strap release. If you want a mask that's both practical and creepy, probably something like the Soviet SHMS or something like that, because it's a good functional mask, but it's also, yeah, pretty creepy looking. But yeah, camping, I've done camping in Scotland and things like that. Interestingly, when I camped in Stornoway with my dad, that was one of those holidays where it was non-stop rain and everything. That's kind of enjoyable, because you wouldn't go camping in Scotland if you didn't want bad weather. Yeah. But I really like the look of Bakelite. There's just something really nice about it. And it's a shame more stuff still doesn't use Bakelite. It's made of formaldehyde, isn't it, Bakelite? So it's probably not all that good to sniff or whatever. Alright, Hotshot. This wristwatch, if it focuses on it, is an Orient Mako 2, because I generally like mechanical watches, but I'm not going to spend, you know, like Rolex money on it. But yeah, it's a custom strap I put on here. But yeah, the Orient Mako 2s are very nice in terms of, you know, being Japanese wristwatches, Japanese movement, and they're not too expensive. These are generally in the £100 to £200 region for a lot of Orients. It's also, Orient is owned by Seiko, but it still has its own movement, so it's like Seiko quality control, but a different thing. So this gains, in a week I'd say this gains a couple of minutes, so every week I put it back to like 30 seconds before the current time. Because obviously it is a mechanical watch, not a quartz one, but it's just really nice. But yeah, it's 200 meters water resistant, it's got a really nice blue dial on it, so it kind of fits into that nice place between being a durable watch and kind of a dress watch, which I like. Because I've got quite a few watches, but a lot of them are just like very basic mechanical ones or quartz ones. And I used the Vostok Amphibia for ages, but then I had a problem with the Amphibia, and because I couldn't get the specialised repair tool to fix the bit in it, you know, I wanted to get a specific one. And I looked into quite a few different wristwatches and then decided on getting an Orient, just because they were priced reasonably for the sort of quality behind them. Yeah, I definitely looked into a lot of those Seiko ones, like the 007s and the 009s and the Seiko Monster and all of those. But I ended up just going for this Orient one because I think at the time I could get it for like £50 to £100 cheaper, and I just quite like the look of the casing on it, because I think that is a nice mix between, you know, like dress watch and functionality. From what I understand, the Seiko dive watches are slightly more durable, and I think the lume is ever so slightly better on the those, but this is good enough for what I need, and it certainly survives smacking it around the dishwasher at work and pouring chemicals on it by accident at work, you know, and washes clean every time. Yep, I've ordered that mask, Michael, so that should come within a couple of weeks, hopefully. But yeah, that Chinese one with the decent head harness and everything. Maybe tomorrow I can check the tracking info on it and see if there's been any updates, but when I checked the tracking on it when I got up today, it said that it was at the National Sorting Hub. So I should have it by Monday or Tuesday next week, I imagine. Let me just go on my eBay purchase history, and I can check the tracking info. at the National Sorting Hub, and that was this morning. So it should hopefully come tomorrow. I think my parents are in tomorrow, so they'll sign for it if I'm at work and it comes. If not, I'll sign for it Monday. Yeah, they're all deactivated, Mr. J, because legally in the UK you can't have a firearm hanging up on the wall if it's a live gun or whatever. But they're real but deactivated, so you know, they've had like the firing pins ground out, they've had bits welded and everything. Yeah, lots of the Chinese names, they just put loads of buzzwords in, don't they? So, yeah, they're like where they put shitloads of like spray paint, Soviet, gas mask, respirator, breathe mask, all that sort of things. I can understand why they do it, because they're all like words people search for, so by putting that many words in the title you find it, but it's kind of annoying they just don't give it a name. Because when you know what the actual name of a mask is, they can sometimes be really hard to find, because lots of them aren't listed as those names. That's the M9 now, or the M9A1. The best version of that you can get, though, I found, because there's a few variants. I've not got all the M9 clones, but the Finnish M61 V2 I absolutely love. This is the first gas mask I got. It's a slightly better built M9. Basically, it's got a better peripheral seal on the inside, if you look around that there, and the straps are much better on the Finnish M61s. Nice smelling rubber as well. Very comfortable rubber on these, but yeah. Essentially that's the US M9A1, just with a different strap system and just built to a better quality standard. The M9s are generally like white or grey coloured as well. But yeah, for when the US made them, they were bloody good masks. See, what I've said this before, but what the US should have done is they should have actually gone to just improving the M9 over the years, not going to the M17. Because obviously if you look at what the US did, they went from the M9A1 to the M17, but kept the M9A1 in service for troops who are actually expected to meet chemical weapons, or like people who, you know, worked with chemical shells, because the M9 was a better mask. And then once the Cold War ended and everything, and they went to the US M40, the M40 in a lot of ways is a lot more similar to the M9 than the M17 is. So really what they should have done is just stayed with you know, just kept improving the M9, like how the Serbian M2 is just a downsized M9. Right, I'll go for all the masks there, because I'm not sure which one you're seeing, because obviously the camera's reverse of the real angle. Right, up there's a GP7, GP5, PDF, PTM1 in dark blue or green, GP4, Y2K, PTM1 in white, GP5 in black, or GP5M, sorry. Then there's a Sieb Gorman Vistavision, a Draeger M65, that's German, and a Bulgarian PG1, which is another M65 style clone mask. Very wet text on dark vision, nothing but rain. My hay fever's been annoying, so I bought some of these today, because I get on repeat prescription from my doctor, like, you know, the one a day antihistamines to take in the morning, but I've been finding where the pollen levels and pollution's been quite high, I need something better. So I've gone for some of those, like, much stronger, fast-acting ones. I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, actually, from hay fever, so let's open these up. Throw the instructions away, don't give a shit about instructions of medication. I know that's a bad thing to say, but... Right, throw the box away. And let's pop one of these bad boys and see if it really does work in 15 minutes like they claim on the packet. I'm in Oxford area. Spooky man, not actually in Oxford, but Oxford sort of area in the UK, England specifically. But yeah, this summer so far, it's been the first ever summer where I've kept having to wear jumpers and like fleeces and have the central heating on in the house. Because generally I'm always moaning that it's too hot at this time of summer. Alright, cool, have a nice night. The streets are mean Oz. Well, in terms of your body digesting them, yes. Some of them don't go down very well without water. That's just a bit of coffee I took these with, but in general I find it depends on the size of the tablet. So let's say I've got a tablet like these ones, where they're like the disc-shaped cocodamols. I can't take those without water or a drink, because they're just bloody awkward to take, because they're like big and round. But small tablets, or the ones that are in capsules like this, I can generally swallow now without water. I don't know, Leaf, but they've got no taste in fashion if they don't like woolly pulleys. Woolly pulleys are great. But you're not meant to eat the capsules in the sense you're meant to swallow them whole, because I think if you chew the capsules, the stuff can obviously come out before it dissolves in your stomach, and then it won't. Medication is either too strong or too weak or whatever. No, I don't think I've ever listened to Chinese pop music, to be honest. I've not listened to K-pop or anything else like that either. I don't listen to pop music really unless I'm forced to. Because other than some like 80s synth pop kind of stuff I like, in general I'm not a fan of pop music, because it just seems, you know, such generic, churned out music where it's, you know, every couple of weeks there's a new top song, isn't it? And they always sound the same to me, pop songs. Another mask I've got on here, which I'll put on in a moment, I have some more coffee first, is the Lag Mark II with a Canadian C3 filter on. I always think this mask looks really cool on the inside. No oral nasal cup, so it's going to fog up pretty badly when I put it on. But, you know, let's do it anyway. That's a good first person mask, isn't it, if you had to have it over a camera, I guess. Yeah, rock and metal, definitely better genres. Slingshot, I really like prog rock, which sadly is a bit of a dead genre now. Yep, I've been to Poundland quite a few times. There's not any Poundlands really close to me. There's a lot of shit in Poundland, but there is some quite good stuff in Poundland. Like, sometimes Poundland's quite good for buying multi-packs of certain foods, where they're, like, below supermarket prices. Sometimes Poundland can be good for, like, stationery kind of stuff. Sometimes, as well, they have, like, discount DVDs in Poundland. So, yeah, buying Blu-rays or DVDs for £1 each isn't bad, unless it's a really, really shit film. But sometimes Poundland just, like, move stock for other stores, I imagine, where they must buy these things at, like, 50p or less each, and then they sell them for £1. Because I'm in the UK, Spooky Man, which would make that very difficult. I've got deactivated guns and everything. Older prog rock stuff, Jacob, but my favourite prog rock album, or symphonic rock album, is Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, but I also like a lot of Rick Wakeman stuff and everything like that as well. Oh, thank you very much again, Laser. No, I don't think I have that mask. Let me Google it and see what it looks like, because maybe I have a similar looking mask. Now I'm Googling it, there's not any thing coming up. Can you link me on Discord what it looks like, please? Because when I'm Googling it, nothing is coming up. Just like completely irrelevant stuff. So if you can Discord me it, then I'll, Alright, cheers. Let me just put this mask on. I'm not going to get the straps done up properly for this, because they're a pain in the ass, but... So this will fog up pretty quickly, but, I do like this mask. Love these old retro style ones. The Discord thing's for donators, Mr. J, so if you do a donation I can link you to it. I said I wasn't going to do the straps up, and now I'm doing the straps up. But, you only have to donate like literally $1 and you can get in. It's just a reward kind of thing for people. No, I barely watch E3 because I'd find all the shit that surrounds games like really irritating. Sometimes I watch certain videos developers have done later on, but I don't get hyped for any of that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, if you want a more functional version of this, the Canadian C3 is this with an oral nasal cup in. The Lag Mark 1s don't have a voice diaphragm. The Lag Mark 2 is literally the Lag Mark 1 with a voice diaphragm. And the Canadian C3 is essentially a Lag Mark 2 but with an oral nasal cup in it as well, so it's the most practical of the lot. Right, I'll just wait on Discord to get that link, and then I can have a look for you, Laser Point. See you, Hotshot. Ah, that's a very cool looking mask. No, I haven't seen that one before. Let me take the mask off so I can look at it. But yeah, that's a cool looking mask. That looks a bit, to me, I know it's not, but you know the Canadian C4? If that had a panoramic lens, I don't know why. And that's the impression I'm getting. Also reminds me a bit of like the GP9 and things, but yeah. So as looking at the valve assembly, it does look quite a lot like the Russian mag masks and the GP9. But yeah, it does look nice. Like I said, I'm keep intending to get more masks, but I'm definitely soon going to have to clear up some more stuff. Annoyingly, if the weather had been better recently, I would have gone into the garden more and gone into the shed and thrown out some junk in the shed, and then I could even use the shed to store stuff from the house, and then make more room in the house for gas masks. But the weather's been shit, as said. I'm tempted as well at some point to put up a shelf here, because obviously when I'm laying in bed, I don't really need anything here. So I'm tempted to see if I can put up another shelf like that, and then I can probably fit 4 or 5 more respirators or something on that bit of the shelf there if I did that. The M40 needs the hood as far as I'm aware. Oh yeah, if you ask Laserpoint Sophistry, I'm sure he will post it to there for you. But yeah, it's an interesting looking mask. I don't know if it was used for autumn or if it was used for industrial type stuff, because I know lots of masks like that around Random Slav were later, you know, like painted for miners and whatever else. Because with lots of that kind of stuff, you know, if you've got the helmets laying around, like that German fire helmet I've got, they generally converted them and made use of them. So it could be like after the war, or if it wasn't even used in the war, they later just used it for something else and put red paint on it. Not really. I've got a reproduction chest rig for AK pouches that I've used for airsoft before. Actually saying that, no, I have got a couple of East German things, but they're not really chest rigs. They're more like where, you know, where you wear the belt round your waist, and then you have like the ammo bags on the belt. And I've got like the modern plate carrier, but I don't really have chest rigs. No, it's not something I'd be opposed to getting. It's just I've never had any need for them really, and I've never seen anything for a sensible price. I think a while ago a lot of the South African ones from like the 80s and 90s kept turning up on UK eBay for like £10 each. So if I see one of those for a decent price, I might get one of those, because they were like a coyote brown kind of one, and I think they did up at your waist and then they did up over your shoulders. So you had a couple of pouches going down like that, and then you had pouches on the belt bit going around your waist. That's annoying. What happened with your latest mask then, TechStorm? You might have said before, I've probably forgotten, but if you did. Because it's a bit difficult for me keeping track of all the different people on YouTube, even though I remember the usernames sometimes, you know, with what each of them said they've bought recently or not had turn up. That sounds very cool, because like I say, I think Oscam's a really nice looking camo. But yeah, like, because I've had a few people ask me, like, oh, am I prepping for anything like that? You know, do I practically need the body armor? I'm like, well, not really, no. As I've said before, because I'm chronically ill, if there was some major shit hit the fan event, I'd be totally fucked anyway. Not because I'd necessarily be killed, but because my medication runs out and then my health starts deteriorating really quickly. But like I said, the only vest I find practical useful now and again is my just police sort of fairly covert vest. Because if you're going into an area that's a bit dodgy, you can wear that under a jacket, and at least you've got a bit of knife and, you know, like pistol protection. But in terms of like, you know, needing a plate carrier, I certainly don't have any practical need for a plate carrier. I just like collecting them. Cameras, not any vintage cameras. I've got a Sony bridge camera that's, I think, got 63 times optical zoom. That's like the one I use if ever I go out and take photos of anything. Give me a moment. Yeah, Cybershot. This is the one I use, yeah, 63 times optical zoom, so that can take really good long-range photos. Hang on a second, let me see if I've got batteries and a memory card in this. I have, but it's not turning on, which makes me think the battery's drained. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Right, I'll show you how good the zoom is on this. So let me take a photo here from, I don't want it panoramic mode. I don't know how clear this picture's going to come out. Right, there's a picture taken directly out my window. Then what I'm going to do is use the 63 times zoom. There we go. Let me just see if I can get a slightly clearer picture. Just seeing if there's anything from my window that is particularly interesting, but not really. Right, there we go. Okay, so let me just put the zoom back in. Oh, it's got a big thing. Yeah, the reason I went for this is because DSLRs are generally quite expensive, where a bridge camera isn't generally too much. Okay, so this is me looking out the curtains with the camera without zoom on. So as you can hopefully see, let me just switch to live webcam view. It's probably not going to show up very well on there, I'm afraid, but anyway, that's me looking out the conservatory window, so you can see out of my bedroom window there's like the mannequin there with the gas mask on and the helmet. And then that's going to be too light for you to see up the garden on that. But then, if I then go up, there you go, there's a picture of at the end of the garden, like on the opposite side of the field outside my garden, where you can see some tree branches and like an electricity cable. So yeah, this is a very good camera, and it's very well stabilised as well, so despite the massive zoom, you know, unless your hands are really shaking, you can get pretty accurate zoomed in pictures. I'll tell you what, I can probably get a better tree from over here. I said it would look better if I was actually outside and okay, so I said I'm taking this through like 2 panes of glass which are wet, but this isn't fully zoomed in. Here's a tree in the back garden. That's the one I've smashed up with a bill hook a few times that was covered in the ivy. If I hold the camera like this, does it show better? Yeah. So there you go. That's that one. That's the one where I've taken all the ivy off of that one, which is the council's tree where they've not trimmed the ivy back. And that's a 63 times zoom on some trees. Probably 200 yards away, 200 plus yards away. But yeah, this is a very practical camera. But yeah, these aren't very much. Let me have a look just quickly before I go back to the chat properly to see how much these are. Because I swear you can get these for like just over £100 or something. But I love bridge cameras with massive zoom on because they're the ones I find most practical. If I want to go out with a camera, I want something like this. They're not very good for... Oh, it's turned on the fucking drawer. Brilliant. See if I can actually get this into the drawer again properly. There we go. Right, yeah, let me have a quick look and see if I can... On Amazon, I just want to see roughly how much those sort of cameras cost. So, Sony PowerShot, wasn't it? Some of the cyber shots, or whatever they're called, yeah, Cybershot. Some of them are around £150 by the look of it. Obviously, there's different models. Because there's like more compact ones and there's the bigger ones. But Sony optical zoom camera. Let me just search that. The camcorder I've got, or like the modern version of it, is £173 on Amazon at the moment. But you can get like Canon ones and other brands, Fujifilm ones as well. 30 times optical zoom one's £189, but I swear sometimes you can get the ones like I got quite cheaply as well. I think I might have bought mine when it was like an end of the line sale. Yeah, you could certainly use it as a spy cam, couldn't you? Because yeah, it's got a big enough zoom. I just like it for taking to the wildlife park and things like that, because you can be well behind a safety barrier. You can zoom in through the barrier, like not even get a blur on it because you're focused through the barrier, and then get a really nice picture of a lion or something like that. Yeah, sorry if I've missed any comments, just repeat any if you want me to reread them. What was it you were saying, TechStorm, about just missing parts and long shipping time? Was it that the issue you're having with the recent thing you bought? Go on eBay and type in Soviet civil defense poster, I think. Let me have a quick look. I'm sure that's what I sort of found it under. Soviet civil defense poster. Yeah, search Soviet civil defense poster and you can find that one and lots of similar ones. Like there's another cool one, a bit like my one, but showing NBC suits. One showing the effect of nuclear blast. Some of them are pretty expensive. But yeah, that one was like 30 quid, but some of these are like £70 on there. This is quite a cool looking one. Let me see if I can open the image. I'm going to quickly save this into my documents actually. But yeah, this is a cool looking one. If you open that image up. So it shows that one, a nuclear explosion, I guess, showing blast and fire risks and like EMP surges. I assume it's showing a difference between an airburst and a ground burst on there. And it's got obviously like some of the masks you can have on. It's got the PTM one there, a Y2K, a GP5, little Soviet medical kits like the ones in Stalker. Something about sheltering in trains or something. And then it's also showing like the protect and survive things of laying down in a ditch if you're caught out in the open, whatever else. But yeah, just search Soviet civil defense posters into eBay and you can find all sorts of stuff like that. As I said, I probably haven't got room on the wall for any more, and that was the most relevant one I found when I was looking, because it's mostly just masks on that one. But yeah, you can find ones about like taking cover from blasts and all the other stuff. If you find that sort of stuff interesting. Where is it? Here it is. You can always get stuff like this. I imagine you get Protect and Survive posters as well. This is a reprint of Protect and Survive. But this was the British Guide to Not Dying in a Nuclear War, which would have been very helpful. It's not that there's not useful information in the book, it's just that what are your chances in a full-blown nuclear exchange? Pretty much none. Yeah, there's the thing if you're in the open taking cover. As I said, it's fairly similar to some stuff on that Soviet civil defense poster. The thing is, yeah, when a lot of this stuff was first written, it was written when it was a fairly low-yield atom bombs that were delivered by bombers. So the idea was that, you know, there wouldn't be that many bombs going off, and if you were far enough away, you could duck and cover and you should be alright. But obviously, the issue was that as the bombs became hydrogen bombs, thermonuclear bombs, they were delivered by missile, so the bombs got much bigger and there was a hell of a lot more of them, and you'd only get like a few minutes warning. Your survival chances just went whoop. Yeah, I'm saying a lot of the Soviet posters are actually very good from what I can tell, but the Soviets did put a lot of effort into civil defence, didn't they, during the Cold War? Because that's one of the things, is Britain's civil defence plan was, fuck that, you're all going to die. Whereas the Soviet Union did do a lot of work kind of making fallout shelters under underground railway stations and things like that. you know, and doing lots and lots of things, and again, manufacturing GP5 and stuff like that, partly because it kept people working in a planned economy. But, you know, there was a lot of use for it, and they'd have certainly been a hell of a lot better off than we were in Britain if there was ever a nuclear war, because Britain was basically, we're not going to invest in civil defence because we're fucked. So, if you can watch something like Fred's and see how well that would play out. Yeah, the GP5's a civilian mask, but there's masks like the Shum 41, which is the military one. But the GP5 was essentially that mask, just cheapened down. But yeah, it was the mass-produced civilian mask of the Soviet Union, just because it was such a cheap and easy to make design. Let me look up the Ice Warriors. I vaguely know what they look like, but let's see if I can work out which is the one you're thinking of when you're thinking of the Ice Warriors. I don't know about NBC suit. If you mean the mask, I think that's the PTM1 you're on about there, because the PTM1's the weird kind of like fabric face one. I'm not sure if the Chinese TF1 mask is an industrial or like civil one, but I'm assuming it's one that could function as either, because essentially a TF1 is just like a GP5, just with plastic bits on rather than metal. Hype might know. Ah, cool. That's interesting sophistry. Yeah, I'll definitely post them on Discord if you haven't. Kind of, yeah, laser point, because I've kind of got a couple of those. So I'm going to do a video at some point, maybe next week. There's one up there you can't see because it's too high. There's one in my car boot where I bought some as lightweight hay fever masks and they were totally useless. So I'm probably going to do some videos showing those and explaining why they don't work very well. And what I also want to do next week, if I get time, is make my own dust mask, which should hopefully work. Where I've probably got some old pillowcases, so I'm going to cut them up, cut up a bit of cloth, stitch them or like staple them together, put some elasticated straps on, and hopefully see if I can make a functioning dust mask for, you know, just like P1 or P2 sort of rated stuff. Just to prove that, you know, you can probably make something a bit better than some of the commercially available masks. The main issue I have with a lot of the commercially available masks, like the dust mask ones, is simply they don't have two straps on. They only have one strap. So one strap around the back of your neck is not going to keep it tight against your nose. You really need one strap at the top, one strap at the back. But sadly, lots of these masks don't seem to notice that. They protect you from alpha radiation, Mr. J. They might cut down on the beta a bit, but they're not going to give you any protection from gamma. M40 versus M65, as in the German M65 versus the US M40. I'd go with the US M40, unless the prices are massively different. But the M40 is a bit harder to get normally, and it's a bit more modern and useful. Super high-end dust masks, what are they called? I mean, I know there's the 3M ones, but do you mean like dust masks that are just like over-engineered? Do you know the names of any of them? Then I'll look them up, but this sounds interesting. Right, I've been streaming 38 minutes so far. I'll stream for at least another 20 odd, maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes. I know you can get dust masks that have an exhale valve in them, and they're apparently quite good, because my mate Max, when we walk the dogs, wears those, because he gets really bad hay fever. He finds those dust masks are alright, but they're the ones that have two sets of straps, the metal noseband and everything, so he can get a pretty good face seal with those, but most of the other dust masks he's tried he's found to be completely crap. Right, glad you enjoyed the video, Snaked. I quite like Clipper tea creamy cake, but the tea I normally drink is Yorkshire tea. But I'm not too fussy. If there's one brand of tea bags and I'm in somewhere and I'm offered a cup of tea, I'll just have that. As long as it's made fairly strong, I don't mind. I don't have a TC38, so I can't comment. They're interesting looking things, aren't they? But I've never seen one for less than £100 on UK eBay. But I don't know if they'd be any good. The filters are probably all obsolete and full of asbestos, but... Well, personally, if it was between me, I'd definitely go for the M40 Jacob, because it's a lot more interesting mask. It's a more modern and practical mask than the M65. But yeah, if I had the choice between the two, M40 over M65, definitely. Yeah, cool, Riley. I got up a bit late today, which is going to be a bit annoying when I go to bed tonight, before work tomorrow, because I have to be up early for work, and where I got up a bit late today, it means my body clock's probably not going to want to let me sleep at midnight. But yeah, I've not done much today because the weather was so bad. Mostly just going to the pharmacy to pick up some of my prescriptions and buy some medicines. That's about it. I filmed 4 videos this week, so I'm well ahead, actually. Oh, thank you very much, Hype. Cheers. Yeah, I will do at some point. Swiss Arms 19. Let me bookmark that. Because I looked into getting one, didn't I? And then I've sort of totally forgotten about it. I need to find Palpax. Yeah, they have one. Yeah, Palpax have it for $129.99, and I know a lot of people have bought from Palpax and said good things, so I've bookmarked them. So yeah, I've bookmarked one now, Hype, thank you. What I'll do is, payday is at the end of this month. What I'll do is, when I get my pay money as well from work and YouTube, I'll get one then, because then I'll still easily have enough spare money for getting the AMD computer in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks time now. It's not long, is it, until they launch? That's what I'm really excited for. I can upgrade this old hulk of an old machine to something modern and decent. But yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll definitely get one, because then hopefully if the weather's a bit better, because I said it's been rainy and shit all this week, I'll actually be able to go out in the video doing some air pistol shooting. You can check D&B Militaria, mate, but let me just have a look for you. But most of the stuff on there is a lot more expensive than it used to be. But have a look and see if you can get like a PPSH or a PPS-43, because often you can get those for about £200 or less. Deactivated guns, submachine guns and assault rifles. Let's have a look for you. World War II. Then we'll sort them price low to high and we'll see what we find. Right, let's put all on one page and then we'll sort by price. Right, the replica ones you might not be able to order. Right, thank you, Hype. Yeah, cheers, I appreciate that. But yeah, let's see, non-replicated ones. The cheapest deactivated one on there is a PPS-43 for £275, which comes with an ammo bag and stuff. Oh, sadly the PPSH are 450 quid. Jesus, when I got my PPSH, the one that's down there, that PPSH only cost me 195, I think. So yeah, they've gone up massively, haven't they? Because they're like over double the price of what I paid for this one. Alright, let me have a look at these super high-end dust masks then. Let me move my tablets out the way because they're blocking my taskbar on my computer. Super, and thank you very much again. Pro Mesh Premium. Oh, they look quite interesting, don't they? Can I find like a single one for sale somewhere though on UK eBay? Then I can get one with your donation. Let's have a look. So they're called Pro Mesh. Right, let me just search UK eBay for Pro Mesh. Also have a look on things like Screwfix and see if they have any as well. Pro Mesh. For some reason when I search Pro Mesh I'm getting cartomizers for a vape pen come up. You know, like vape tanks. I don't know why. Mesh Pro. Okay, I guess that's a brand of vape stuff. But Right, let's search dust mask and see if I can find anything that looks like that. I'll probably be able to find something similar even if I can't find that exact model. Let me search dust mask charcoal and see if I get any more come up. Right, I found a 10 pack that's £24, so I want to see now, can I find a single one for like £3? Because that'd be ideally what I want. But most of the ones coming up at the moment are like... I think I found one. I found one called an Alpha Mesh, which is FFP2, Welder's Mask, Disposable, Valved, NR Charcoal. So Welder's Mask. I'll order one of these, cheers, because that's $5.95, so your donations are covered that, thank you. It's a bit expensive for what it is for a single mask, but it'll be interesting to cover in a video. Although it says disposable, I can always reuse that for just little tasks involving dust. Right, let me just buy that now. Which one can you get for cheaper? Snaked oil. Right, let me just buy this individual one. I'm just taking my glasses off so people can't see my card details reflected into the screen while I order this. PayPal with my debit card saved on it, $5.95. It should be interesting anyway, because as I said, I want to do some videos evaluating different dust masks to see. Right, thank you. That isn't exactly like the one you linked, but it's close enough, so you should get an idea. Thank you, Laserpoint. Alright, thank you again. Cheers, I really do appreciate that, and Hype for giving me the donation as well. Because, yeah, like saying, what I can do then is, what I want to do is do a video where I look at loads of cheap available dust masks and see if any of them have any actual practical use compared to a proper respirator. Get the shums then. If you can get a shums for like £20 to £30 sort of price, snakes, go for that. With an S10, if you're having to pay over £50 for one, I wouldn't bother personally. Especially because you can get FM12s like S10 prices now. Yeah, sounds cool, weapons bunker. But yeah, I've bookmarked that 1911 as well, because otherwise I'll forget about that. Remind me on Discord if you would as well, Hype, towards the end of the month. And then I won't have an excuse not to get one. Because yeah, I think my payday's around... I think work's payday is the 26th normally, unless that falls on a weekend. When's the 26th for this month? Wednesday. So yeah, I should be paid by work on the 26th, and I think YouTube normally issue me a payment by the 25th for each month, so I'll get that. I'll order that gun as soon as that happens. Soviet NOS protective suit. Let me Google it, TechStorm. That's an interesting looking thing. I mean, some of those look a bit like... but yeah, that one's interesting. So has it got a particulate filter built in? Wow, that's really weird. I want one of these now. A lot of them are just tagged as Stalker Chernobyl cosplay, but yeah, that's a weird looking thing. Right, let's see if I can buy one of these. Yeah, $80. I don't think that's a bad price for an S10, but if you for like $20 to $30 can get a shums, just get the shums. Right, one's $125, so I wouldn't pay that for it. The NBC suit, the weird looking one. The other's $100, so yeah, I wouldn't pay $100 for a mask with a respirator built in, but it's cool. I'll save a picture of it, just because it's such a weird looking thing. I'd never seen those before, so thank you for telling me about those. But yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Oh, Thank you very much, Mechanized and Weaponized as well. I appreciate that. Oh, I didn't even spot that. Let me have a look at that one on D&B. Because to be honest, if I was buying deactivated guns, I wouldn't mind a cutaway one, because if it's never going to fire again, having like a cutaway that you could put on display and see the insides would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? So it's a VZ58. Let's just search VZ58. For some reason the search result is only coming out of a bayonet, which is £40 for a VZ. £40 for a VZ58 bayonet. No, there's one for £850. That's fairly expensive, but yeah, it's a very interesting looking thing from the side, isn't it? Where the little bits are cut away so you can see all the bits. I think that would look fascinating on a wall like that. There's a PPSH cutaway as well. But in theory, for a PPSH cutaway, I could literally cut some bits off of this one and show that. But there you go, there's a Cosmoline opened up bit on this one. Ooh, I've just cut my finger on the bloody discharging bit. Yeah, that'd be a bit more expensive than what I'd want to pay for the deactivated gun, especially because, you know, it's not going to fire again. But yeah. There's my Cosmoline D. Yeah, get a Shums for $16 as opposed to $80 for an S10, even if the S10 comes with accessories. Then just get yourself an FP5 filter or similar snaked, so you can safely use the Shums. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful Cosmoline, which glows in the dark. There we go. But yeah, I really like the PPSH because, as I said, when you could buy these deactivated for less than 200 quid, that was a fairly good price for them. But yeah, I really love the feel of a PPSH. The really annoying thing is now so many deacs have gone up in price in the UK. Even getting something like a Sten gun is like £500 now. Like, who would pay £500 for a bloody Sten? Cold coffee. Ugh. Yep, the receiver of the FOW hinge is open in a similar way as well. I won't take it down because I've got all the stuff on the wall, but I might be able to show you with this still on the wall. Yeah, see, with this, the FOW receiver's hinge open in a similar way. And then if it had all the internals in, which it doesn't, you can pull them all out the back. Yeah, I don't want to damage the poster or any of the masks hanging up, so I think that's actually a fairly good way. I think there was apparently some issues with FOWs where eventually that latch could break and the gun wouldn't close properly. But yeah, it is a good system for just quickly getting into the gun. Yeah, oh, thank you very much again. Yep. I'm gonna definitely do that laser point, but I'm gonna have to wait till the weather's better because, as I said, the weather this week has been nothing but fucking rain. But yeah, what I'll be doing is I'll try and do somewhere. I probably won't use an air rifle for safety reasons, but I'll probably get one of my Deacs or something, and then I'll see, can I lay prone with masks and helmets on and maybe the Osprey armour and actually get the sights to align properly, or at least to a degree. If it ends up being really, really wet for whatever reason all summer, I'll either put a tarp down in the garden and do it on a tarp, or I'll just have to try and do it indoors somehow. But, how much is the light anti-gas respirator? Because as I said, light anti-gas respirators are cool. But yeah. That's really nice. I've got a Deac M1 carbine, sadly not a live one obviously, but I love the M1. I know it wasn't all that great a rifle, especially with the cartridge that was in it, but I think it was a really good design for when it was made. I could do that this summer if the weather gets nicer. Yeah, I could definitely... Crossbows you can definitely use. I've done videos shooting crossbows with NBC gear on before. But yeah, an actual bow would be harder, especially with NBC gloves, because you're trying to pull back. I reckon you could manage it. I'll do that on the video. Right, good idea. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more things I can do like that, where can you use certain things in certain gas masks and military gear. Yeah, I think with some, laying prone might weirdly be easier than actually trying to canter the rifle weirdly while you're holding it. £60. I'd personally just go for the 18 for the shums, and because often you can get these about £30 in the UK. So I'd go for the shums for less than 20 out of all those 3 masks. But yeah, if you search on my channel, there are some videos of me using a crossbow with NBC gear on. I can't remember if I had gloves for that video, but I certainly had like an NBC suit on in the pouring rain, shooting a crossbow. I don't know if I actually had a gas mask on though in that video, but I had an NBC suit on. Because I had a load of people say, is this some sort of weird fetish video? You know, man in NBC suit shooting crossbow. I was like, no. No, it's just wet. And I don't want to get wet. When you say bow triggers, as in like the crossbow triggers, some of them are a bit janky. The best crossbow I actually have in terms of quality control, let me put the PPSH back and I'll get this crossbow. Just need to make sure I put the PPSH in a position where it's not going to fall over. There we go, it's solid there. The one I've got that's behind the computer screen, most of the crossbows I have are like the Po Lang, Man Kung, Taiwan crossbows. This one I'm not sure about. I know it's Chinese of some sort. I know it's got some cobwebs on there I haven't shot in a while. Chase Wind it's called. I think it's Jandao Chase Wind is the name of it. But this has a much better trigger pull on this one. So if you are using this with a scope or whatever, yeah, the trigger pull on this, I'm just seeing if I can focus on anything. It's probably a bit too zoomed in for the bedroom. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, the trigger pull is very good on this crossbow. I know it's obviously a bit jankier once the string's under tension, but this has got a very good release mechanism. I also like this one's got the elevated bow, so the string's not actually under tension the entire time. It's, if you can see that, it's slightly off the rail, compared to the cheaper crossbows where it actually just drags across the rail, so the strings last longer and you lose less power through friction. Because obviously you've got a split in the end of the crossbow where the arrow or the bolt literally just comes straight out the end. But you mean, yeah, the things for conventional bows where you have like the longer release thing. Yeah, I've never used those. I always pull 2 fingers or 3 fingers back on a conventional bow. I don't think Richard's in the chat, unfortunately, but he's somebody you could definitely chat to about that laser, because Richard does some really heavy bow shooting, because he's like done longbow shooting and all that sort of stuff, the guy who forged my billhook head. So he's one of those people who's really into bow shooting, but I think he's stopped shooting some of the really heavy bows now, because I think he had some muscle injuries. Because obviously if you're somebody who can shoot a 130-pound bow, you're obviously a pretty tough bastard, but I think he had like some muscle injuries or something, and he was finding the arrows were too expensive, because anytime, you know, the bows that are that powerful, he was finding that the arrows could break quite easily, and then if they break, it's like £10 per replacement arrow, and I think he found it a bit unaffordable to keep shooting his really big bows. But I think he has a bit of experience going back to like the release systems. But I've never tried them. I've just, you know, pulled back with 2 or 3 fingers like that. I mean, the classic English way of doing it is doing it like that, of course. That's where that comes from. Because I think it's 100 Years' War. if the English longbowmen were captured by the French, they'd cut off these 2 fingers so they couldn't shoot a bow again. So that's where that comes from, is to say, fuck you Frenchie, I can still shoot you with a bow. Now, I'm working tomorrow, Snake, so I'm not going to stream. So I kind of like, for classic history sense, pulling back with these 2 fingers. Alright, Peach. I'll be streaming for another 10-15 minutes, I guess. Maybe just has a decent paying job, gas mask, and he likes giving me money, I don't know. I'm very grateful. I don't want him to stop. But, like, because I give money to channels, but I do that on Patreon normally, like, where I have them come out every month. But, you know, like, where I pay $5 to $10 to some channels per month, and they come out every month. But some people prefer doing super chats and whatever, but I suppose it depends, because the thing is, I think a lot of the way certain people look at stuff like YouTube is it's essentially some sort of media service you're consuming, aren't you? But it doesn't work in conventional way with adverts. I'll stream Sunday. As I said, I'm not streaming tomorrow, but I will stream Sunday. And that will probably be 7 PM, 8 PM kind of time. Yeah, you're probably a bit like me, Laser. What I normally do is I get paid, I pay all my bills at the start of the month, so I know they're out the way with. Then I work out how much free money I've got. But obviously there will be, I keep some money aside for emergency things, because obviously real life means that now and again you might have a problem with your car, or you might have some expensive medical bill and my health isn't great. So although we have the NHS in the UK, obviously I do have to sometimes pay off for like medications and that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get. Then I keep a load of money just spare, just as an emergency thing. Then yeah, I've got money to spend on surplus stuff, or just if I really fancy something, or if I want to go out and whatever. There's a guy on YouTube who's made a crossbow with a motor on it that pulls back the string, but he was an elderly guy, I think, with arthritis. That's why he built it, but it was quite a cool design. I haven't seen that not see, but that would be interesting. But I wouldn't really spend £400 on a crossbow, because the issue is how the UK laws work on crossbows. Unless you're really at an archery range, it's very dodgy shooting them in like public fields. So the only place I can really shoot my crossbow is at my house or like friends' gardens and things like that. And I've got like 10 to 20 yards range max in my garden, so there's not much point me going for really powerful crossbows. It's the reason I don't shoot my £175 draw weight compound crossbow very much, because Blades and Bows sent me that for free. RIP Blades and Bows, you were a great site before the government fucked you up. But you know, it was, the annoying thing of that crossbow is it's really good and powerful. It's a brilliant crossbow, but at the ranges in my garden it's just too overkill. I prefer lower draw weights for shooting at closer range, because you can shoot them shoot them more easily in terms of drawing them. The parts on them last longer, their strings don't wear out as fast, and if you did miss the target and some accident happened, you're not shooting something as powerful. You know. Good to know. Yeah, 33 likes. Don't forget, if you're watching the stream and haven't liked it so far, do give it a like, because YouTube seems to share my channel more the more people like the things. I did see the one a while ago that had like the compressed gas thing with Jorg Sprav, or how his name is, where it pulls the bow back with a compressed gas thing on the actual bow, doesn't it? That was quite interesting, but I kind of like with a crossbow though that you're physically building your muscles while you're using it. The only problem I have had with crossbows is a couple of years ago where I had that back injury, and they had me on Valium and codeine for ages for my back, and then I had to see a physiotherapist, and thankfully the physiotherapist was really good and he sorted me out a load of exercises to do. Long story short, my back's not fucked anymore. But sometimes if I am drawing something heavy like a high draw weight crossbow, I will start feeling pain come on in my back, and then I stop. But yeah, so I could understand for infirm people and everything, or whatever, if you want to shoot a crossbow and you're not that strong, why things like that would be good. But I do think part of the enjoyment from bow shooting and crossbow shooting is it is physical exercise. It is like, you know, weightlifting essentially. With most crossbows, Laser, how it works is, not on this model, it's not a very good one to show you with, but on a lot of crossbows you get replacement prods. So what you can do is you can take out the prod, swap them for a different prod, like a lower draw weight prod, put a string on it again, and then that lower draw weight prod means you've got a less powerful crossbow. Let me show you on one of my ones. Hang on, I'll put this back on the wall and I'll get it. Just put this here a minute. Okay, so basically this is the one where I've put the little 40-pound draw weight thing on. As you can see, it's really easy to pull this one back. Obviously I'm not going to cock it in the house, but as you can see, you can literally just cock it on your shoulder like that because it's only a 40-pound limb. The limb on this one's a 40-pound limb. Actually says Armex 40 on there, so you can see it. So with these recurve ones, because they all take a universal prod, basically, you can get different draw weight prods. You can just swap the prod out, and then you've converted the crossbow to a different draw weight. So this 40-pound one is very good for shooting at like 10 yards in the garden, because the strings last absolutely ages on them, because it's not all that powerful, but it will still throw a bolt 10 to 15 yards no problem. So I put one of those Daisy air rifle scopes on this, and the laser still works in there. I don't know if that's going to show up on the webcam, but which window did I need? This one. I don't know if that's still going to work on there, but well, if I turn it upside down it might be a bit easier to see. Yeah, there you go, there's the laser dot. So maybe, yeah, the webcam's blocking the laser slightly, but the idea is anyway, yeah, there you go. I've just got this little Daisy air rifle laser sight mounted on this, and this is like pinpoint accurate for short range shooting, because you can keep both eyes open and then you can just see where the laser is. And also if I look through it, the laser is actually on top of the oh, and the battery's just gone. Right, yeah, the battery's just worn out, so I'll need to replace that battery before I next use it, but yeah. I've done a couple of videos like that, snaked, shooting air rifles at different gas masks. But yeah, I'll do some more videos like that when the summer weather's good. What might hopefully be good is sometimes one of my next door neighbours goes for like a 3-week holiday or something in like July sort of time. So if he's on holiday, I'll try and get loads and loads of videos filmed in the garden. That way I'm not bothering the neighbours if I'm actually out shooting. Because I try and be as considerate as possible when doing stuff like that. Because although my neighbours obviously know that I'm into this sort of stuff, I don't really want to bother them, you know what I mean? If it's a nice sunny day and they're sitting in their garden relaxing, I don't want to go out and start shooting stuff or whatever, because it's a bit disrespectful. But you know, if they're ever on holiday, that's when I try and just film loads and loads and loads of shooting type videos in short succession, just so I've got a load in the can essentially for that way I'm not bothering anybody. You have to be careful saying stuff like that, Grobnob, because that's probably a hate crime the way the UK is going right now. What are the crossbow laws like in Australia? Are they really restrictive, or are crossbows one of those things that are like not really covered? Because some of the Chinese and Taiwan crossbows are like, you can get them fairly cheap and they are pretty well decent. This is like one of the older models, Taiwan crossbows, but the ones I like, if I can get it out, is this model. The triggers, as I said, are a bit shaky on these, they're not as good, but let me just take the dusty lens caps off. I've mounted an air rifle scope to this one, but it works fine. But these ones are pretty well made, the Jaguar, or the Tomcats, whatever they call them. Not Jaguar, Firecats, is it? So this is a fairly good one, although the dust just come off there. So I've just got a 4x BSA air rifle scope mounted to it, and it's got the ratcheting kind of scope rail on here, so you can use that to adjust for distance quickly. And then this one, I think I've got the £105 prod on at the moment. So being a £105 prod, it means it's fairly powerful. It's like £105 is a really good compromise between draw weight for power but not being too powerful. Because in all honesty, I think you only really need about £100 draw weight for a crossbow to successfully shoot with it at closer ranges. But yeah, this is a nice crossbow. And again, these in the UK are only like £70 brand new. Not with a scope on or whatever, but you know, for like a wooden, plastic and metal crossbow, they're not all that expensive. I just put all my crossbows away now before I make a mess, because that's the problem when you start getting stuff like this out. I have to clean all the clutter up. Oh, I've just knocked something off of somewhere now. Oh, it was just a little tickler thing from my little imitation crossbow. Right, sorry. I'll get back to the stream. You seriously into shooting then, Laser? Because that's a lot of money to spend, isn't it, if you're not? But yeah, let's have a look. Australian crossbows. ozhuntingandbows.com.au. Okay, so you can buy crossbows, it seems, in Australia. Let's see if they do any of like the cheaper brand crossbows, because unless you're really into long range crossbow shooting, there is no point getting like an Excalibur style crossbow, because although yes they are better than like the cheaper Chinese Taiwan kind of crossbows, they're not good enough, I think, in, you know, compared to the fact they're like 5 times the price. They're not 5 times the quality, that's for sure. They're marginally better, basically. Especially because over the years the Chinese crossbows have got closer and closer in quality to the proper like Western brands of crossbow now. I'm just seeing it on here if they've got any of the these are like nearly £2,000 crossbows, so I won't bother looking on that site then. That's cool, snaked. I mean, modern crossbows aren't technically medieval weapons, are they? They're just bows with a stock on. But yeah, that's annoying if it is restricted. Yeah, you can like arrow fish, can't you, with crossbows? Weirdly, in the UK, arrow fishing is allowed as far as I'm aware, but you can't hunt other animals with it. So bow fishing you can do in the UK. So sometimes broadheads are sold as, you know, like bow fishing things, because they can't say hunting on them, because that would be illegal, because obviously you're not allowed to hunt animals with crossbows in the UK. It's like the M61 I showed earlier then, I guess. Let me see if I can find, here we go. Just a second, because Mankung actually have a website. This isn't like where you can buy from them, but it's more like for companies wanting to buy from them. But yeah, if you look at this one, that's bloody annoying, laser point production, but you can still get some probably decent bows, I imagine. But yeah, see, a lot of these crossbows I have are made by this company, Mankung, which I think is a Taiwan-based one. There's also Polang, but yeah, basically the Mankung crossbows get sold in the UK and then just rebranded as different things. So if you see like that MK180 and MK120, that's the one I showed earlier. I put the £40 prod on. It's just one of those. And yeah, some of the other crossbows are just like more updated models of some of the others, but yeah, the XB27 at the top looks fairly good. Also, that MK177 is pretty much that one I just showed, but that one had wooden furniture on. The one on their picture has thing, but yeah, this one looks fairly well made. Obviously, I don't know what they cost, because and I said they're not really appropriate for you, are they, if you can't have crossbows where you live? But at least, like I'm saying, in the UK, although they keep making a big deal of it in the media, we can at least buy some crossbows like this under £100, and for backyard, like, you know, garden shooting, they are very accurate for that. You know, I can shoot less than a 1-inch group with most crossbows if I'm shooting them slowly and taking my time. And yeah, crossbows are, you know, good fun as long as you use them responsibly. But yeah, they do archery bows as well on here. So, what you could do, laser, is see if you can get something like this. Because I bet you, if you found an Australian site selling this, that would be less than 100 Australian dollars, because the Mankung stuff is normally fairly cheap and it's well built. Alright, see you, James. But yeah. That sort of stuff, if regular bows are legal, you could probably get some of the Mankung regular archery bows. Because that's not all that dissimilar. That Mankung one I just linked to that big one I've got there. The Innertech, this big recurve bow I've got, the one that's nearly as tall as me. This big Innertech one you can get for like £40–50 in the UK. It's only like a 28-pound draw weight, but it's a good enough bow, you know, for like conventional sort of stuff. But yeah, like I said, this the Mankung stuff, they're well made enough. That's the thing I like about them, you know. Because the thing is we have in the UK is, like, a lot of the crossbows people might buy, and the US, they're all made in China anyway, or made in Taiwan. And it seems silly that you just wouldn't buy directly from a Chinese company when their crossbows, you know, are like a quarter of the price, even though they're made to almost the exact same standards. And over the years, a lot of the Chinese bows here, you know, have been getting a lot more closer in terms of power efficiency and whatever else to the Western bows. Alright, cool, let me Google it. Is that a 75-pound draw weight one? If so, you're pretty good at shooting if you can pull that back. I'm just Googling it now. Yeah, it looks like it comes in like a really nice box and everything. It looks like, yeah, a really nice bow. But I've always been more into recurves and flat bows and compounds, just because I don't trust compounds as much. I know they're a lot more energy efficient and everything, but I just always like big old recurves. Yeah, a very well-built, sturdy umbrella Nazi would be very good for protecting yourself, because you can legally carry them anywhere. And obviously, yeah, you could hit somebody with it pretty hard, or jab at them defensively if they came at you with a knife or tried to mug you. Alright, cool, Soup. I'm probably going to only be on for another 5 to 10 minutes, I'm afraid. Then I'm going to have to go get some dinner. Oh, I'm throwing my light anti-gas respirator on the floor. It's bad. Alright, let me start packing some of these masks up so I still talk to people on the stream, because otherwise there's just going to be a massive mess of masks when I finish the stream, and I'm going to have to spend 10 minutes clearing them up. So, light anti-gas respirator's going back into his bag. These two can just sit over here where they always sit. I just move those so I could get the crossbows. Right, the Hungarian one, I keep the filter on it, and then that can go directly into the bottom of its bag. I think it's going to depend a lot, to be honest, on how it's used, like the context of how you use it. But legally you can own umbrellas that are built for defensive reasons in the UK. But again, the self-defense laws in this country mean if you carry something and specify it's for self-defense, you could get in trouble. So I'd say, don't say you carry it for self-defense, just carry it because it's a good, functional, sturdy umbrella. And then if the worst came to the worst and you had to use it, hopefully it would work for that, you know what I mean? But yeah, sadly the UK's a bit fucked where you can't say I'm actually carrying something for self-defense, even if you've kind of got the right to do it, because by doing that you're kind of seen as carrying it for aggressive reasons, not carrying it for, you know, like sensible reasons, if that makes sense. So yeah, you carry an umbrella because it rains and you want a good sturdy umbrella, not because you want to use it in self-defense. If you happen to need it for self-defense, then that should hopefully be okay. That's sort of how weird our laws are and that kind of thing. CM3 away now. This one can be a bit difficult to get into its bag properly because it's got the bandages in the bottom of the bag that it was issued with. Right, let me take the bandages out and I'll put these back in. There you go. I'll put those back in once I've got the mask and the filter in. Right, so I'll put the filter at the bottom because that makes sense because the filter's the heaviest bit and it keeps the bag in shape. Now let's stick the mask in. And hopefully I can turn this slightly sideways and then I can put the bandage down the side. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. And there we go. There we go. Those masks are ready to put back away. I'll pop Protect and Survive away as well. There we go. Yeah, generally when I stream at 8 PM kind of time or 9 PM in the UK laser, that's when they seem a lot busier. But yeah, it's just I think because as it's a Friday at this sort of time, lots of people will be at work in the UK. It's probably a bit too early for a lot of Australians, not Australians, sorry, Americans. Yeah, so generally I get the most views per hour or whatever on a stream if I do them about 8 or 9 PM in the UK, but I quite like doing streams around different times, you know, during the week, just so people in different time zones get a chance to catch them. Because I'm not too fussed, as long as YouTube doesn't start punishing my channel because there's not as many people viewing a stream as there is at other times of day, which I wouldn't put it past YouTube to do that, to be honest, because they do have lots of weird things where channels get promoted or demoted based on the amount of likes and people sharing the videos and the amount of minutes watched and all this sort of stuff. But as I said, I just like doing it this way because it means I sometimes get a chance to talk to different people on the streams and people sometimes get to catch them if they wouldn't otherwise. So, you know, it would seem a bit unfair, really, if I always did a stream at 8 or 9 PM UK time, because that means a lot of people would miss out. And sometimes, like I said, for me, certain days of the week, it's more convenient for me to stream at a certain time rather than other times, based on how much I've got on that day or what time certain things out of my control are going on. Anyway, I'll probably finish this stream up around now. As I said, not see for what you wanted. I really don't know. Again, it is a very big grey area for that sort of thing. Again, like, I carry a tactical pen all the time, but I use it as a pen, but it's just a sturdy, well-built pen, you know. That's the point, I need to change the ink cartridge in this. I'll do that after the stream. Because when I was trying to write with it the other day, it was fading a bit. But again, yeah, it's got a glass breaker on it, but I primarily carry this just because it's a very good pen, and EDCing a pen is a very useful thing. But yeah, again, a flashlight's a very good thing because it can be bright, it can help, you know, stun somebody, can't it? You could actually hit them with it as a last resort, and having a flashlight's always handy, or a torch. I kind of think, what the hell is the point of it, laser point, like when I saw that in the chat earlier? Because for the effort you go to making a nose clamp for that, and like the weird thing you hold in your mouth, surely you could just do like a 3M half face mask made of rubber with valves fairly easily, probably for less money. Like, I find it funny because it's literally the filter suck, but actually manufactured, isn't it? Because I've seen there's some old Soviet civil defense posters where somebody's got a filter in their mask and they're holding their nose like that. It's like, surely that's a last resort thing, not something you want to design your product around. Yeah, exactly. Walking sticks are good as well, like we were saying with umbrellas, because you can have completely practical reasons for holding them. or having them on you, but if you needed them in an emergency and you were attacked, they would work as a self-defense item. And the law is a lot more forgiving on items than that. And then you say you actually carried something in your pocket specifically, oh, I just have this on me to hit somebody if I, felt I needed to. Well, there's not a thing stopping you. It depends, but the thing is, I know people that aren't much older than me that already have arthritic problems in certain parts of their body. So what's wrong with them carrying a walking stick, you know what I mean? Yeah, like say, it could say it's a bit odd, but again, it depends on the person, because I know people that are, not even 30 yet, and they've got bad bones or arthritis in certain parts of their body, so, I think they're perfectly justified with it. Again, like I say, an umbrella I'd see is a bit more practical, because you can use an umbrella like a walking stick, and it's there for the rain, but, Anyway, that's a good time to finish the stream up. Thank you everybody that's donated. I'm just checking. I think everybody that's donated today has been on the Discord server, so it's not like I need to send out extra invites. But again, thank you everybody that's donated. Laser Point, Mechanized and Weaponized, and Hype or Free Gat, whatever you want to be called on here. I do really appreciate all of those because, as I said, it goes towards stuff on the channel. As I said, I'm working tomorrow, so no stream tomorrow, but I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream if he's on in the evening tonight and tomorrow. Sunday I'll definitely do a stream. I've got a rehearsal Sunday, so I've got the day booked off work, but I'll be doing the rehearsal 2 to 6 PM, but in the evening. Oh, cheers, thank you again. Yeah, it's been a really good conversation on this one as well, and yeah, thank you for all the donations, as I said, because it does help pay for stuff in the background and stuff I do the videos on. So yeah, I'll be off for today's stream. See anybody on Sunday. Sunday will probably be like 7 PM UK time, I imagine, 7 or 8 PM. Because my rehearsal's 2 till 6 PM UK time, and hopefully the weather might start drying up a bit next week and I'll be able to do some outside videos. But yeah, I'm going now, Ernie, because I've been streaming for almost an hour and a half already. But thank you everybody, and see you Sunday for the stream. There's an air rifle and crossbow video on tonight, if I remember, at 5 PM, if that's the video. It's not a very interesting video, but it should suit the people that like those sort of videos. And then, normal videos Wednesday, Friday and Sunday at 5 PM as usual. Right, see ya. Thanks everybody. Goodbye. Cheers.